Hi everyone, in this video I would like to cover some of the new features of the latest RaceReplay version 14.0.12. So let's start with features of the wand. So as you know, you can select the wand here, click it once and then go on the track and that will show up your wand numbers. Now maybe I'll make this wand a little bit longer. The new features are the following. Now to add data and see the average values during this period, I just double click on the cell and I can select forestay. What is new is that you now have the option, by default it's going to be the average value, but you can also show minimum, maximum and standard deviation. Click OK, and then on the second one I will also click forestay, but it's displaying the maximum this time. Another feature that we have here, if I add another row, is that I can also add a distance. And that's in meters. You can change that to nautical miles in the options. And then obviously if you have a second wand, you should see both data for both wands displayed here. Same thing, you're going to have forestay, forestay max and a distance. Let me clear that wand number 2. And here's a little trick that is not new, but you might not have heard of. Let's say I want to see a moving average of values. Well, I can click on this little hidden plus in the wand numbers. And speaking of the wand 1, I'm going to say that I want it to last 30 minutes. Click OK. And then I'm going to pin it once. Now it gets pinned to the boat, always goes to the bow of the boat. And then I'm also going to lock it. And then I can hide this, and now what happens is if I move the boat, you'll see the wand is sticking to the boat, giving us on this wand numbers panel an average value, like the 30 minutes average values following the boat. Right, this is the first feature. The second feature is for a graph which you might have heard of. I think there's a video on it, which is a data distribution graph. So let me go and select another portion of the track again and say I want to see statistics on what happened during this little trace here. And when I click on graph and data distribution graph, I'll ask it to see, I want to see the distribution of boat speed polar percentage by steps of 2% and of true angle by true angle degrees. And when I click OK, there's been a little bit of a relooking now, where this is the percentage of time for that period, where the wand delimited by the wand, percentage of the time that we reached different values of boat speed polar percentage and true angle. And what is new in that really is the kind of the aesthetics, where we now have this little legend on the side, which is what is the average value and the standard deviation. That's the data distribution. Another novelty is the following. Let me get rid of this wand and I'm going to show all the phases that I have for that. And now in all the graphs, let's say I can pull up a upwind VMG graph and display the phases table. Well, for all the points, one thing that is not new is that I can go here and right click find in phase table, and that's the one here. But now I can also directly say that I want to filter the point out or delete it completely. If I filter the point out, you'll see that it's no longer in the table. I now have to undo to clear the filter to get it back. And now if I think this one is a fluke, and it does look like a fluke, I can delete it completely. Now it's fully deleted. You'll have this in pretty much all the graphs. And finally, the last feature, there's been a reworking of the performance graph. So the performance graph is mostly used for studying reaching. So let's open that up first. Now, one performance graph, let's leave it on the boat speed for now, is for a given truant speed. Right now we're looking at truant speed 16. At the bottom you have a truant angle, on the side a boat speed, and then in green is the polar at truant speed 16. So that allows us to see where we sailed versus our polar. And then by clicking here you can scroll through the different wind speeds. let's leave it here. Another shortcut is you can use your mouse wheel to do that pretty fast. So let's stay on true and speed 20, and we now have multi-trends, which are the same ones that were implemented in VMG graphs and XY graphs earlier. And I can decide to create multi-trend by sale. I get this little dialog. It's showing me those multi-trends. So first of all, it's asking me, should I do it only for this graph at true and speed 20 or for all the true and speed bins that it's found? You see, if I choose only 20, then I get 4 lines created. If I go for all bins, it will create 12. Obviously, we're not seeing the 8 other ones. Then I can also say that you need to have a certain number of points before a line is created. If you can see that the throw line here has only 3 points, and we might decide this is not enough to create a line. So if I say you need to have at least 4 points to make a line, it won't create that one. Then there's all kinds of formatting. Maybe the font size, you can take that down a little bit. And then our usual interpolation methods. By default, it's splines in fit order of 2, which is pretty good. Click OK on that. And we got our lines. They appear on the side. And then if I go to the other graphs with my mouse wheel, you see there's nothing was created. Let's redo the same operation, except at this time I will create them for all true and speed bins. Click OK. Everything is here. If I uncheck this show all, it will only display the ones for the line for the graph I'm currently looking at. And now when I scroll through them, you see that change. And obviously these lines have also been created in the polar percentage format, where now we're no longer a boat speed, but boat speed percentage, and they should appear on the polar as well. And one last little feature which can be interesting: when you are at the point that you want to modify your polar, you can display this polar performance graph. No, sorry, it's PolarManager. Let's do that again. I'm going to hide this to get more screen estate. So here's my polar. Let's make some space here and view a bit better. Well, I can go back in the performance graph and say that this line is actually representative of my speed. Well, I can highlight that line, right-click, send to PolarManager, and there it is. And this can be an interesting way for me to modify a little bit, possibly this polar line, and make it fit better to my data. Right, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one.